Bet you never thought that our V6 engine would run that smoothly, did you? Well, that's only part of the Premium Power story, and we'd like to tell you more about it later. Welcome to Curbside Chat number 4. First, let's talk about how our business is doing. Well, you did it again. You beat the forecast for the month of September. You beat 58,200 on the last day of the month. And it's important that we do make our forecast. Some of you have asked, why do we talk about this in Curbside Chats? What does this mean to you? Well, this is our report card for the entire division and all its dealers. These deliveries are made up of your individual efforts throughout the month. And it's these cars that generate the income stream, which provides the capital for our new product programs, advertising, incentives, and the like. So that's the importance to all of us. Each of you have a part in this story. At the end of September, of course, we closed out the 1987 model year with 601,289 deliveries. Now that, of course, is down over last year. But there's one bright spot. The LeSabre is up over 77%. It's going to be a very important car for us, and we're going to continue to work on the LeSabre with you to maintain that lead. For October, we fell somewhat short of forecast. We forecast 52,600 units, and we achieved a little over 41,000. Now, there were some reasons for the slow October sales. First of all, there were 4 major incentives that were terminated during the month. The 1.9 financing alone pulled about 28,000 Buick sales into the previous model year. The Regal availability was poorer than we expected, and there were other delays. There were delays in pricing. This year, as you know, we did things differently in pricing. We were very aggressive in all of our pricing, plus all of the option packages. This took extra time, and in some areas we just ran out of time to get the stickers printed, mailed, and so forth in a timely manner. We had a hold on the LeSabre and the electric cars that you couldn't sell for a while. There are other things too, but the bottom line is we've looked into all this, we understand what happened, and we're dedicated not to have it happen again. Our forecast for November is 42,700, which is a little bit less than last month, and so far we're very close to forecast through the 6th selling day. We appreciate your effort and dedication in making our forecast in November. I'd like to talk about 2 of our car lines. First, the Regal, and then the Skylark. Regal availability is improving daily. This chart shows rate versus time, and this is a production rate, and we're up to a little over 400 units per day right now. Here's the sales rate, increasing at a slightly flatter rate, and we're at about 200 cars per day, some days a little less. Obviously, we've got to adjust our trading policies accordingly. Olds and Pontiac are coming online with their cars in January, and we've got to gain the momentum now. We're going to allocate cars beginning in the next preference on a turn and earn basis. So those of you who are selling them the fastest will get the most. Also, the exterior sport package, of course, was not available to begin with. There was a quality problem in the plant with the body side moldings, and we do not want to ship cars with poor quality. The parts have been redesigned. The supplier is redoing the tooling now, and will begin production of those units in December. So they'll be available in December, or probably right after the first of the year is more realistic. The same goes with the 4-seater. So you'll have both of those models right after January. Now, we recognize that not having some of these models right at the start of announcement does cause dissatisfaction and trouble for you, and for that we apologize. The 4-seater package actually was delayed in response to dealer input on the cloth. We changed the cloth, which delayed the option. Again, we have to do that earlier as things go forward, and we are going to. Again, we appreciate your indulgence, and we're doing everything we can to correct this in the future. Now, I'd like to talk about the 1988 Skylark. We're not selling them at the rate we should be. This model is aimed at a completely different market than the Pontiac Grand Am, and we've made a lot of changes to enhance the premium nature of the car. We've added analog instrument panel for this year, and a column shift will be in production shortly. In 1988 and a half, we get a formal sedan. And then next year, we come with a bench seat. Now, all of these changes enhance the pricing and support the premium value that's in the Skylark. They have great content. Please get behind them. We talked a couple of times about press coverage, and I'll have to say I'm pretty pleased the media coverage we got for our 1988 products, and especially the Regal. Almost all of them were very favorable. And I appreciate the efforts of many of you in helping out in this regard, writing to the editor, promoting cars for it, and in a few cases, getting with them and straightening them out when they didn't write the article that they should have. And keep it up. We appreciate that. Most of you, I'm sure, know of and heard of Mary Ann Keller, a leading auto analyst. And she gave us some very favorable press on our pricing. And I'd like to quote from her newsletter. She said, "However, we believe that Detroit is finally moving toward a rational product policy which will lead to a realistic pricing policy." She goes on to say that but the overall concept of building cars the way people actually buy them makes sense for owners as well as automakers. Not only can shoppers more quickly and accurately compare prices among models in the same showroom, as well as with cars from other manufacturers, but also automakers should realize some cost savings from simplified production. Good quote from Mary Ann Keller. And I'd also like to thank you for advertising, many of you are doing, the Skyhawk for 1988, the Skyhawk sedan at under $10,000. That should help showroom traffic. Let's talk about leasing for a minute. 20% of all deliveries nationwide in the industry right now are leased. Buick, of course, isn't anywhere near that. But we have a new leasing activity called Blue Chip Leasing. And it's meant to promote this because by 1990, there are some predictions that leasing will be 50% of industry business. Now, Blue Chip Leasing does 3 or 4 things. First of all, it gets a good rate support through GMAC. There's also lease training available via videotape and a direct mail prospecting system. We also have a full-time national retail leasing manager, Terry Weaver, on the staff to help you in your leasing activities. There's a booklet presently out, and there'll be more information coming to you through Terry in the near future. I suggest that you get involved, understand leasing, and use it to your advantage. We've talked on numerous occasions about the premium content and the premium value of Buicks today. Now I'd like to talk about premium power. This can be a very effective sales tool for 1988. We've made a lot of improvements, and I'd like to show you a few of them. In 1988, all Buick models except the full-size wagons feature fuel-injected engines. Every standard engine except for Skylark, Century, and the full-size wagons have increased horsepower for 1988. And the standard engines on the Skylark, Century, LeSabre, Electra, and Riviera have internal balance shafts for additional smoothness. Now this is a real competitive advantage for us in 1988. Let me show you. Here we have a competitive comparison of the Buick LeSabre with the 3800 V6, the Mercury Grand Marquis with a 5-liter V8, the Chrysler New Yorker with a 3-liter V6, and the Nissan Maxima also with a 3-liter V6. Our horsepower is at 165 with a 3800 engine, whereas the Mercury has only 150 horsepower, the Chrysler New Yorker at 136, and the Nissan Maxima at 152. In addition to that, our fuel economy is by far the best at 19 city and 29 highway, compared to the Marquis at 17 and 24, the New Yorker at 19 and 26, and the Maxima at 18 and 24. Now there's going to be more information on the power and economy as well as spaciousness and value that's going to be spelled out on our competitive manual, which will be mailed to you right after the first of the year. And speaking of premium power, many of you have asked how our motorsports activity relates to the rest of our business. Well, first of all, it builds on our heritage of powerful engines. Second, it provides a winning image to all of Buick. Now, we have many promotions targeted toward audiences with Buick buyer demographics. We have a 48-foot motorsports display trailer with race vehicles and race engines that's available to your dealership. Included in the promotion are customers' incentives like free hats for demonstration drives, and there's a drawing for jackets and race tickets. There are also salesperson incentives, a cash award for the person who gets the most demo drives that day. Also, there's motorsports activity, motorsports clothing available. Now, this is all organized for Buick and run by King Sports. This has been shown to increase floor traffic in 1987, wherever it was used. We've generated over 4,400 test drives, and 31% of the sales during the period that the promotion was there were attributed directly to the promotion. Now, these weren't just sporty cars that were sold. The sales were mixed across the entire Buick line. The bottom line, 95% of the dealers who took advantage of this promotion said they would participate again. Now it's time for the questions and answers. Of course, we get a lot of cards back from you, and we really appreciate it. We don't have time to answer them all, but I want to let you know that I read every one of them, and our staff takes them, and we do respond to many of them, and we use much of it for input in future decisions. So keep your comments coming. This one's from Wally Trebick in Santa Clara, California. Wally says, with about 3,000 Buick dealers and 12 months per year, the Curbside Chat program could cost over $1 million. We believe it's worth it. Well, thanks, Wally. The program, however, will cost considerably less than $1 million, I assure you. Here's one from Rick Layton of Little Rock, Arkansas. He said, I wish that sales incentives would be given to the salespeople, such as the LeSabre Park Avenue program. I promise you, salespeople will find many creative ways to put customers in Buicks. Well, we believe that. This, however, is a controversial subject. Some dealers disagree with this particular attitude. And so we'll probably go back and forth depending on the particular situation. But there will be some of these in the future, I'm sure. Here's one from Nelson Lenson Chevrolet Buick in Chahaska, Minnesota. If I mispronounce some of these names, my apologies. He said, can the packaging system on the new Buicks be simplified and easier to understand? Well, we certainly hope so. We realize that it's fairly complicated this year, and we'll be working for 1989 to simplify it considerably. Here's one from Glenn Buick in New Kensington, Pennsylvania. With the incentive programs now over, our sales are dead in the water. With Olds and Pontiac mailing programs, price incentives in the offering, where is Buick going? The Success American-style mailings were quite successful for Buick. We were in there first. But many of the customers now have been inundated with these programs, and we've put our incentive money now in the value option packages. If you compare the discounts on many of our packages with the discounts in the sister divisions, you'll find that ours are considerably higher. And we believe you can use these in advertising and in closing deals to help sell Buicks. Here's one from Dorshell Buick in Rochester, New York. Ed, we need to have Riviera become the performance car it once was. Turbo, four-wheel disc, and more horsepower. We agree with that, and we are working toward that end. We did, of course, the 3800 engine has a little more horsepower this year, but we are working on up-option engines for both the Turbo as well as, or for the Riviera as well as the Riata. Here's one from Craig Joseph in Waterville, Maryland. First of all, 88 pricing is great. It's what we need to put Buick on top. We've heard of a plan for Redesign Riviera. Can you elaborate on them? We appreciate the comments on the pricing. As far as future models, we have a lot of plans in place, a lot of very dynamic, exciting designs coming for a lot of our models. But I'm reluctant to talk about them in the Curbside Chats because there's 3,000 of these tapes go out all across the country. And we don't want to let our competitors know what we're doing too far in the future. So you have to be, have confidence in us that we are working on that. I think you'll be quite pleased, but we can't tell you the details via this medium anyway. There's one from John Lawler in Phoenix, Arizona, Childress Buick. Why are the dealers not given more input as to color selection on new models? We in Arizona have lost all of our best sellers. We get quite a number of comments on colors, and it is a rather complicated process we go through. However, that doesn't mean it can't be improved. In fact, in one of the future Curbside Chat films, we want to get into that in more detail and I think we'll answer that better then. Here's one from Dan Korn, Jr. of Kalispell, Montana. It said, make available chrome or stainless steel molding option on Regal below the side protection. I imagine that's similar to the Park Avenue. We are going to do that, and that'll be available at start of production next year. We've had several comments on the engine for the 1988 Regal. This one from Jay Lyons in Denville, New Jersey, says a 3-point engine option in the 88 Regal. We are working on an up-level engine for the car, and I can't tell you exactly what it'll be or when it'll be, but it's a very active program for us now, and we realize we would like to have an up-level engine for it. Here's one from Lou Holtz Buick in Webster, New York. It said the 1988 Regals have an excessive amount of engine noise in the passenger compartment. Can a heavier insulation pad be installed at the firewall? There are two situations on engine noise in the Regal. One, the exhaust manifolds are stainless steel, and we are changing to a cast iron manifold, which will help some of the noise. Also, the front of dash sealing on some cars has not been as good as others. And I think attention to detail in that area, we're improving it at the plant, but if there is a problem car, going through the front of dash and making sure everything's sealed up will also help. But we're aware of the situation and working to improve it. Here's one from Charles Glenn in Plant City, Florida. He said, eliminating the name Somerset was definitely a step in the right direction. Why then don't you incorporate the composite headlights on all Skylarks? Well, we put composites on the coupe and not on the sedan in order to keep the pricing of the sedan in line. If you'll, as we talked earlier, if you'll compare the pricing of the Skylark sedan to some of the comparable models to competition as well as other divisions, you'll find that they are extremely competitive. In many cases, we have a distinct advantage, and that's the reason. Composite headlights do cost more money, and therefore they're priced higher. However, we'll take your input and perhaps on a future model incorporate those as the pricing becomes more routine. Here's one from Mark Lanford in Morristown, Pennsylvania. Now that we've received several of the 1988 Park Avenues, and having closely looked at the new steering wheel design, I feel that Buick should consider changing to a style more in keeping with the class and prestige of the vehicle. Your thoughts? We agree 100%. In fact, if you look in the catalog, the steering wheel for the Park Avenue that's shown in the catalog is the one we intend to have, but we just couldn't get there in time for start of production. It's one of those 200 significant changes we made, and all of them, frankly, didn't get there right on time. However, we expect this one to be there before the 1988 model year is out. We'll make a running change on it. We have our source for the wheel working overtime on tooling to make this happen, but we would like to get it obviously as soon as possible. Here's one from the Parsons Buick Company in Plainville, Connecticut. It says product design and styling should reflect the fact that many Buick owners trade every 2, 3, or 4 years. They expect the car to look different from the one they're trading in. Solution? Return to the policy of a facelift each new model year, grills, bumpers, and ornamentation. We agree 100% with that. And we're working now to get back to more normal changes from year to year like we once had. Frankly, a lot of the money that we put into that was put into our new product like the Regal, which were extremely expensive. But we know that cars like the Park Avenue and the Electra Series and the Century Series especially need some freshening now, and as we go forward, others will as well. Last one from Bob Seitz of Salinas, California. It said, why don't you have dealers and salespeople look at new products before a commitment is made to produce that product? We agree with that as well. In fact, that's the whole reason for the Dealer Marketing Advisory Board. We have these group of dealers come into our design studios very early in the game. We've done this for the past year, and critique the designs as they're going. We show them everything. We've done this 2 or 3 or 4 times now since I've been here, and it's been very rewarding. We've made many changes to our future models directly from their advice and their input. So we plan to continue that and do even more of it as time goes forward. Now I have something special to show you. You know, we get a lot of letters from customers. Some of them are complaints, but some of them are like this. It says, "Dear General Motors, when I bought my 1986 Buick Skylark 4-door Limited, I knew I was buying a car with years of quality engineering, comfort, and performance behind it. And now, a year later, I have so much to thank you for. I have a large trunk that's big enough to carry just about anything I need. I have stylish wheel covers and body side moldings that really make the Skylark attractive. I have a rear seat that's big enough for 3 adults, but I just carry my 4-year-old daughter in it. I have 2 spacious front seats that adjust to almost any position I desire, and seat belts that are positioned so that they're easy to use. I have a driver control panel, every bit as functional as it is nice to look at, with a padded dash, tilt steering wheel, and full instrumentation. But most of all, I have my wife. On September 17, 1987, my wife was involved in a head-on collision. The force of the impact was estimated at between 100 and 110 miles per hour. Her forward motion was reversed, and both cars came to rest approximately 90 feet from the point of impact. Her right ankle was broken while pushing the brake pedal, but I'm sure you're working on that. Thanks, GM. Joe Stewart." And Joe and his wife are from Orlando, Florida. Those are the kind of letters that we're all working for. That's the kind of customer satisfaction we all want. This will be the last Curbside Chat for the year. And I want to wish all of you, your friends, your family, and of course all of the people at your dealership, a very, very warm holiday and a safe holiday. Have a good one.